Ooh, ooh, those are pretty loud ones. So today I want to talk about again some of the stuff I was talking about thinking of people as objects, right? And I also want to talk about comparing that to having like a role in life. This is the role that you play, right? And of course I've been thinking about this because of, I was recently talking about that I had a sort of falling out with people that, are basically just acquaintances. But, one of the phrases that they said was interesting while they were talking shit to me is that they were like, you know what, the only thing you're good for is getting girls and you're good at video games. And that's useless. That's useless now. And you know what, from a certain perspective, what they said there, maybe is true, And since the fact that, we don't play video games together anymore, I've said often before, people think that I play video games or I practice all the time. I've said before, many times when I see friends, I don't even play video games. I very, very rarely play video games. To be honest, I can't even remember the last time I saw a friend in real life and played video games with them. So, from that certain perspective, my role or, me as an object, you know what I mean? Maybe that's true. If I'm only good at video games and getting girls, what they said, whatever, then why would these people who like video games want to talk to me anymore, I guess? Sad thought, but right. And if I'm only good at getting girls, and these guys are, one of the guys is, he's fat now, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Again, he might be over. Who knows how large he is now. His life is way past him. The other guy, he's regretting his decisions, I guess, maybe. I assume. I can only assume from the things that he was saying. And his kid turned out retarded, so better blame me. But okay, so the idea is that is me being an object. My only purpose is to be good at video games or something, or getting girls, right? And then I think about Japan. Japan is kind of a society, maybe when you look at it, like very kind of blunt, sort of like, this is your role in society, right? You know what I mean? Kind of feel like you're this object. This is what you do. You're this role. This is what you do. You know what I mean? Especially, man. I keep thinking about like the sex thing too, because it's so funny. Like, man, you go down that like hooker alley and you just see, like I said, sometimes now the Japanese guys are just like actually finally coming up to me because I've been in like Shinjuku so often, whatever, dude. They've like actually started to talk to me a little bit, and they're like, how many girls have you had sex? Oh my God, you must be getting laid all the time, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm picky. I don't really care. And they're just kind of like, why? And like, they want to have sex with you. Like, why would you be picky? You know what I mean? And maybe it's kind of like, and it's funny because if you see the girls too, it's so funny to see these girls like every single night, and it's almost like, kind of sounds bad to say, it's like, wow, their role in life is to be a cum dumpster almost, right? But it's almost kind of like a given. It's almost like, and if you even think about it, like, it sounds bad. It's just so funny to see these girls and they're like boom, boom, boom. They're coming out, they're banging another guy, coming out, banging another guy, coming out, banging another guy. And then they're all just like, sometimes afterwards, before they go back on, to try to get banged again, they're all laughing, talking kind of thing. And it's like, whoa, it's just kind of like, but they're like laughing and they're joking. Like, it's not like a big deal. Like, I'm like, oh, this is like, oh, I'm a woman, I guess, in Japan. This is my purpose or some shit like that, right? And it's like, damn, dude, right? And just like the guys are like, they're like, it's almost like, like, dude, your role is, since you're the quotation marks cool guy, you're supposed to be banging them. They don't have a purpose besides you banging them. Just like you have no purpose besides banging them. Kind of, right? I don't know. And then, you think about, and I've seen this before, like, if you've ever seen the documentaries about, like, loveless marriages in Japan or something like that. You know what I mean? I've seen it before. It's like, once the wife has the kids, I've talked about before, a lot of times the husband will just go and like, oh, I know, my purpose was to have the kid. Now my purpose, my role is to be the mom and take care of the baby. I have no other use now. Now my husband, he's going to go have sex with all these young girls. these teenager girls, you know what I mean? You know, when he's in the city. And then he's going to come home, you know, and then his role is going to be the husband. But that's my role right now. That's his whatever. That's him as an object in a way. It feels like, right? Do you kind of like, I don't know. Do you kind of get like the vibe I'm getting at? Like Japan really feels like that. Oh, my role is to go to school all day right now. Oh, I just got out of school. My role right now is to go suck that older guy's cock. Like, it's amazing. You just see these younger girls just like, okay, I'm gonna go suck this older guy's cock. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm gonna go do that. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I'm just gonna go suck his cock. And then they all, you know, come out like an hour later. They're just all hanging out. Hey, what's going on with you? They're laughing, blah, 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 blah. You know, older guy, my role right now is to go work all day. Before I go home, my role as an object is to bust this fucking nut. You know, there's no like discussion about it. I don't know. Again, I guess I'm just thinking about people having roles, people being like an object, you know? And it's just like, I don't know. It's just something I'm thinking about. I'm like, man, maybe, and you know, I've talked about this before. Maybe one of the reasons that I get hate in video games is because although maybe I'm an object in the sense that, or I have a role as, you know, I continue to do all this stuff in video games that no person has ever done, you know, blah, 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 blah. I've never been an object that you could use, so to speak, right? I've always refused to shill. I've said before, one of the main reasons I got hate, even as a, oh yeah, so if you've ever seen this in Japan, Japan is like, man, it's very loud. When they're doing all like the election stuff, it's very loud, very, very loud, and it's all over. But anyway, what I was saying is maybe one of the I was saying that even one of the main things that I talked about when I first got hate in the video game community was I said that I refused to talk shit about this guy that other people were talking shit about. And people are like, oh my God, why would you not talk shit about this guy? This is what all the popular people are doing. And so people got mad that I didn't want to be part of the crowd that was doing this. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk shit about this guy. He's not a bad guy. And of course, lo and behold, you know, so many years later, it had came out that he was in fact a good guy. Or people finally admitted it. And so many of the people talking shit about him actually were legitimately the ones stealing from people at tournaments, right? But what I'm getting at there is I've never been able to, or man, I'm thinking like a passive or something, like a Japanese kind of thing. Like, you can't use me in that sense, right? And if there's an object you can't use, it's not useful, right? Like, oh wait, what's this guy? Like, well, we can't use him, so he's not going to shill for us. He's not going to be your fake friend. He's not going to lie about any bullshit. You know, he's always going to be, you know, honest to a fault, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, how do we use someone like that, right? Hard to use someone if they can't be used, right? I think there's actually a phrase for that. You know, actually, I think there is a phrase for that. Something like, if you can't use an object, what am I thinking about? I think there's a phrase like that. So anyway, I've said before that in the video that I think that maybe that's why I get some hate, because it's like, well, fuck. If we can't use this guy, like, what's the purpose, right? So, and then I think about, you know, I do think about that girl thing sometimes, and maybe that's just my role. You know, I don't think of myself as the cool guy, but so many people, you know, so many people, quotation marks, somehow think of me as being the cool guy. And maybe that is my role in life. Like, maybe that's just what I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to be the cool guy. Like, dude, you don't have the money to be the nice guy or something like that. You're not that kind. Like, that may be your personality, but you can't be used like that because you don't have the tools to actually do that, right? I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure how to explain. Like, your tool, like, the way that you can be objectified as a man is that you're the cool guy and you're supposed to be fucking all these girls. That's you as an object. You being a nice guy, that's not useful, right? Because you don't have the tool set to, you know, a nice guy, you know, I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? Anyway, some stuff I've been thinking about, I guess. If you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.